People like you, who are at the bottom, shouldn't come here, it'll get dirty. It's questionable humanity that allows someone to utter such terrible words with ease. There are those with high pride who look down on and laugh at others. Such people are unlikely to be given the time of day by anyone. Humans are creatures that cannot live alone. I wonder if they are intentionally isolating themselves or if they simply don't understand anything. Either way, I think it's unfortunate. My name is David Reed. I'm taking a slightly late summer vacation, and I'm currently at a villa in the Highlands. This highland, where time flows leisurely, is the perfect place for me to refresh both mentally and physically, having been wrapped in the bustling time of the city. Lying on the couch sofa in the living room with large windows, I was reminiscing about an incident that happened right before this vacation while looking out at the mountains outside the window. Triggered by that incident, my thoughts traveled back in time, and before I knew it, I had embarked on a journey reflecting on my life. There's an item called a computer, which is indispensable for people nowadays. It seems that in the past, it was called a microcomputer or an office computer. My deep connection with computers began when I was in the 5th grade of elementary school. Although I knew that computers existed before then, I thought they had nothing to do with me. However, when the operating system OS called Windows 95 was released in 1995, I turned my attention to computers again. Seeing the news that a large number of people gathered at stores to buy it, despite it being late at night on the release day of Windows 95, something inside me was stimulated. My birthday was near at that time, so I asked my father for a computer. Even at that time, when manufacturers were fiercely marketing computers due to the popularity of the newly released Windows 95, the price was at least $2,000. It was a very expensive request for a toy for an elementary school student. But my father listened to my request. He must have felt my earnestness and foresaw the future potential of computers since he used them for work. A computer can become either a useful tool or just a box, depending on how you use it. David, you should think carefully about how you want to use the computer. Prompted by my father's words, I decided to thoroughly learn the basics of computers. This is how my relationship with computers began. One characteristic of my personality is that I am not easily intimidated. Not being easily intimidated means being curious and fearless. I think I am the type of person who actively takes on challenges, is forward-thinking, and does not run away from things that would make most people hesitate. This must have motivated me to boldly challenge something as daunting as computers. This trait was also evident in my interpersonal relationships. In short, I actively engage with others and easily make friends without being shy. When I was playing in the sandbox at the park during kindergarten, one boy asked if he could borrow my shovel. I said, sure, but in return, let's be friends, and became friends with someone I had just met. In elementary school, I actively talked to my classmates, and before I knew it, I found myself at the center of the group. I aimed to make 100 friends and kept making new ones. It might have been mass-producing friends, which might be slightly different from building true friendships. Without fully understanding what true friends are, I might have thought that having superficial connections was enough to consider someone a friend. Friends equal acquaintances, perhaps. Shallow relationships can easily crack under certain circumstances, and at one point, I ended up being completely ignored by several of my friends. I don't remember the exact cause. It must have been something trivial. It took quite a while to reconcile with everyone, and it was settled by me backing down. Honestly, I didn't think it was all my fault, but I apologized out of a desire to quickly return to normal relations. After this experience, I started to ponder what true friends are. At the time, I was in the 5th grade and didn't understand complex matters, but I was eager to find the answer to this question. My tool in this quest was the computer my father had bought for me. A key feature of Windows 95 was its enhanced networking capabilities. Unfortunately, the network feature wasn't included in the initial release version, but it became easy for anyone to connect to the internet with the purchase of additional expansion features. The internet is a global network, allowing easy access to information from around the world. Back then, there were no robotic search engines like Google, and researching things took more effort than it does now. But I used the computer to explore what true friendship really meant. The conclusions I reached were as follows. 1. It refers to a friendship bound by deep ties. 2. Being with them brings a sense of peace to the heart. 3. True friends trust, help, and support each other. 4. True friends can express their emotions honestly and accept each other's feelings with openness. Though these were abstract expressions, and I wasn't entirely sure how to make real friends, I could see a glimmer of hope within myself. I believe that forming bonds is the result of accumulating small steps. It's not something that can be easily achieved overnight. So, I decided to first open my heart, be genuine, and strive to be helpful to my friends. I aimed for a relationship based on closeness and trust, not just superficial acquaintance. Of course, the effects weren't immediately visible and took time or a certain trigger to develop, so it wasn't easy to feel a tangible sense of progress. However, I am patient by nature, so I didn't feel rushed or frustrated. It wasn't a conscious effort, it naturally evolved, so I never felt it was hard. In my elementary school graduation anthology, I wrote about 2 aspirations. One was to continue expanding my knowledge and skills in computers and to venture into system development in the future. The other was to make as many friends as possible into true friends, creating treasures for life. Entering junior high school, the commuting area expanded, and students from other elementary schools also enrolled. I was excited about the new friendships that awaited. In junior high, I met Kevin and Michael. We were in the same class, and upon seeing Michael, I immediately remembered him. He was the boy I became friend with in kindergarten after lending him my shovel in the sandbox. We had gone to different elementary schools, so our contact had ceased. I have a good memory and am good at remembering faces. Even though our appearances had changed during puberty, some features remained, and I recognized Michael right away. "Do you remember me? It's been a long time, but I'm David, the friend you made in the park." "Yeah, I remember. It's amazing to meet you again, especially in the same class. I'm looking forward to getting along with you from now on." Our reunion sparked lively conversations. Then, someone approached us. "Michael, you know someone from another elementary school. Who is this guy?" I was irked a bit by being referred to as this guy, but I replied calmly, "I'm David. We met a long time ago and have just reunited. And you are?" "He's Kevin, my childhood friend. We've known each other since before kindergarten." "Well, that's amazing. Being friends since you were that young." "Is not really amazing. It just happened that way." "Well, yeah, it's one of those inseparable relationships. Michael can't do anything without me. I'm the one taking care of him." "What does he mean by taking care of?" I don't know the history of their relationship, so I can't judge if it's odd, but I felt uncomfortable with Kevin seemingly belittling Michael. Kevin glared at me and walked away with Michael. I've never disliked someone or felt uncomfortable from the first meeting. However, I had an immediate negative impression of Kevin. I've always wanted to get along with everyone, so I've researched attitudes and behaviors that make one easily accepted, using the computer. I also looked into behaviors that make one disliked or avoided. What I found included lack of manners, harsh tone, not greeting, and also condescending attitude and high pride. From what I saw, Kevin seemed to embody all of these traits. It might be premature to judge, but first impressions often prove accurate. I thought it might be best to keep my distance from him. This thought is extremely rare for me, almost as if the world has turned upside down. Because my basic stance has always been to make as many friends as possible. But why is Michael sticking with Kevin? Even though they were childhood friends, I found it strange and couldn't help but feel puzzled. My attention would drift towards the two of them, seemingly without intention, and I felt like Kevin was dominating Michael. When I asked classmates from the same elementary school about them, it turned out my impressions were accurate. Those two have been in the same class from 1st to 6th grade in elementary school. It was a surprise to even me that they ended up in the same class in junior high too. Well, I've been in the same class with them for 4 years now, making it the 5th year. What became clear during their long association was that Kevin acted like the master and Michael like the servant, a dynamic that seemed to persist. I don't understand why Michael puts up with Kevin's commands. I certainly wouldn't want that kind of relationship. I agreed and thought that I couldn't accept such a friendship for myself. I don't believe that's what friendship is supposed to be. Although I understood the situation, I didn't know what to do and could only silently observe. Even when we moved on to the 2nd year of junior high, the three of us ended up in the same class again. I still didn't get along with Kevin and tried to avoid him as much as possible, but I had started talking more with Michael. Whenever we talked, Kevin would somehow always show up and interrupt, which had become a sort of routine, unavoidable since he would approach us even if we tried to avoid him. Kevin's intrusions felt like he was saying, "Don't mess with my subordinate," which was annoying. I often wondered if I was overthinking things. One day, noticing Michael looking at a computer magazine, I struck up a conversation. "Hey, are you interested in computers too? I'm really into them and have been studying a lot about them." "Yay, that's interesting. What a coincidence. I've been interested in computers since around 5th grade. Mostly, I've gained my knowledge from books and magazines like this." "Since 5th grade, was it Windows 95 that got you started?" Finding out that Michael's interest in computers started similarly to mine made me really happy, and we engaged in a lively discussion about computers. As usual, Kevin appeared out of nowhere during our conversation. "What's all the excitement about? Michael's family isn't rich, so he couldn't possibly have a computer." I wasn't aware of his family's financial situation, but I wondered what kind of person would make such a point to someone who didn't know or ask. "David, your family is poor too, right? Poor people consoling each other won't make things any better." "I'm not exactly poor." Being suddenly called a poor person startled me a bit. I was shaken by the unexpected comment, and Kevin seemed to take my reaction as confirmation. "Remember the field trip when we wore casual clothes instead of school uniforms? Your outfit, those worn-out clothes, made me laugh. Can't even afford new clothes, and you didn't bring a packed lunch but ate cheap snacks instead." I was in tears from laughing so hard. I'm the type who gets attached to my belongings, and I tend to wear my favorite clothes for a long time. My mom often tells me to change it up. The reason I didn't bring a packed lunch that day was because both of my parents were busy, and there was no time to prepare one. Of course, I was informed about this beforehand, so I had bought my favorite snacks the day before. For someone who doesn't know the situation to label me as poor and laugh about it is just unacceptable. More than that, being ridiculed for my favorite clothes being cool-looking and my favorite snacks being belittled really made me angry. "Michael, let's go. If you don't hurry, I won't let you touch the computer. You can't afford such an expensive thing. Just do as I say, and I'll let you use it." "Wait a minute. Are you bribing Michael into obedience with material things? Is that what friends do?" I couldn't stand it anymore, both being mocked myself and seeing Michael treated so poorly. "It's okay, David. Thanks." "Oh, shut up. What's a poor guy like you yelling about? Just adding insult to injury." At that moment, Michael gave me a look that made me hold back, and I let the two of them leave, but I had firmly decided to change my approach. I couldn't just stand by anymore. I decided it was time to have a serious talk with Michael. I wanted this discussion to be uninterrupted by Kevin, so I waited for the right moment to approach Michael. I confronted him about his twisted relationship with Kevin, questioning how he could tolerate being treated like a lackey. Although I initially intended to calmly reason with him, my pent-up frustration with Kevin led me to become emotional, which might have been a mistake. I appreciate your concern, but you're being too nosy. What do you know about my relationship with Kevin? True friends aren't like that, are they? Shouldn't you point out when the other is wrong? Being submissive doesn't help anyone. You don't know the Kevin from the past. He's actually a kind and considerate friend. Yes, he may have become a bit twisted over time, but I believe he'll return to his old self. Until then, someone has to support him. True friends trust, help, and support each other. Michael seemed to think that's how he should act towards Kevin. But what about Kevin? Isn't their relationship one-sided? The importance of mutuality is being completely overlooked. I want to convey this to Michael, but my frustration at not being able to express it properly leads to a confrontational tone. Enough is enough. When Michael shouted, I suddenly became calm. What am I getting so worked up about? I realized that fighting with Michael wouldn't solve anything, and my words came out naturally. I'm sorry, I went too far. Please forgive me. Michael, who had been riled up by our exchange of harsh words, was taken aback by my sudden change and apology. No, I should apologize too. I know you care about me, but please let me do things my way a bit more. Understood, but don't try to handle everything alone. If you're in trouble, rely on me. Embarrassed by our previous heated exchange, we awkwardly shook hands, feeling somewhat shy. You're amazing, you know, being able to admit your faults so openly and apologize so freely. Even after a fight, being able to reconcile and understand each other builds trust and allows us to appreciate one another. True friendship allows us to express our feelings openly and accept them without reservations. Being able to speak and act without worrying about how the other might perceive us is the first step towards true friendship. This incident seemed to take my relationship with Michael to the next level. What's up, Michael? You've changed a bit lately, haven't you? After our discussion, I noticed a slight change in Michael's behavior. It's a subtle change that only I, who's been paying close attention, can perceive, and even Kevin might think it's a bit odd, but there's definitely a change. Previously, he just went along with things, but now, depending on the topic, he subtly incorporates his own opinions, attempting to adjust Kevin's actions. However, he hasn't managed to change Kevin's behavior, who acts like he's the king. Perhaps it's a long-term plan. When we became juniors, Michael and I ended up in the same class, but Kevin, unfortunately, was placed in the next class. This made me wonder if it led to Kevin becoming uncontrollable. Until now, Michael had been somewhat restraining Kevin, but that influence was gone. Barely a month into the new school year, Kevin was rejected by everyone in his class. Everyone ignored him, treating him as if he didn't exist. I hadn't inquired about the details, but it seems this was all due to Kevin's selfish, domineering attitude and foul language. Michael tried to reach out, but the barrier of being in different classes made it impossible to find a right moment to do so. By the time the second semester started, Kevin had no place in the class at all. I couldn't bring myself to help, watching from the sidelines. Being in a different class was certainly a factor, but I just didn't feel like helping him. Still, I felt troubled by my inability to befriend everyone, contrary to my own ideals. Oh, my family is wealthy, and I am fortunate. I'm smart too. Yet, all around me are fools. They'll regret this someday. I'll make them realize that I'm the chosen one. Before graduating from middle school, Kevin was lonely, left to boost his own morale. Michael was desperately trying to reach out to him. I wouldn't admit it out loud, but reluctantly, I was trying to support Michael in helping Kevin. Whether he knew of our efforts or not, that guy only showed more foolishness. "Hey, David, you're not taking the high school entrance exams, are you? Because you're too poor to afford the tuition and have to work, right? It's hard to see a schoolmate fall to the bottom, but well, it can't be helped. You're poor after all." Kevin seemed delighted to taunt me about not taking the high school entrance exams, having heard about it from somewhere. The brief period when I thought things had gotten better before our third year now seemed like a distant memory. Kevin had become even more egotistical and dismissive of others than before. "I don't need friends. After graduation, it'll be a goodbye. I'll feel relieved. I'll do well in high school. I won't stumble again. I'll be going to the same high school as you, so I hope to see a new Kevin there. Ha ha ha, sure. I'm different from those who only have a middle school education. I'll excel in high school and university, and then land a job at a top company." I indeed chose not to take the high school entrance exams. That's because I had something I wanted to pursue. Kevin might think I'm poor, but that's not the case. A family that could afford to buy a computer costing over $2,000 for their son when he was in 5th grade can't be considered poor. I chose not to go to high school to pursue what I wanted to do. What Kevin thinks or misunderstands about me doesn't matter. Our friendship is supposed to end in middle school. I'm moving forward to realize my dreams. It's hard to believe that 10 years have flown by since then. I'm currently attending a middle school reunion. The organizer this time is Kevin. You know, I didn't really want to come because of his invitation, but I did want to see everyone else. Still, choosing a place like this, the high admission fee is a bit much. The words I hear from my classmates are a mix of appraisal and disapproval for today's event. We're in a banquet hall of a famous hotel in downtown. A regular bar would have made the fees more affordable, but Kevin, who volunteered to organize, insisted on this place. "David, long time no see. How have you been?" "Doing well, Michael." Speaking of Kevin. "Yeah, Kevin, well, he's as strong-willed as ever, if not more so since middle school." "Strong-willed, huh?" It was clear from the classmates' comments and Michael's demeanor that this wasn't a compliment. I remember Kevin went to a prestigious high school after graduating from middle school. Michael was worried about him and decided to go to the same high school. Since Kevin chose a public school, I could make it my choice too. Kevin in high school, probably just as you imagine. It seems Kevin carried his worst tendencies from middle school into high school. Without hearing the details, I could imagine the struggles Michael faced during high school. Despite his behavior, Kevin, being smart, managed to get into a top national university. Michael, having set his sights solely on national universities, ended up at the same university as Kevin. Setting aside Michael's college hardships, they unbelievably ended up at the same company after graduating. Michael had always been interested in IT and aimed for a company in that field from the start, but Kevin also discovered IT and focused on getting into the same company as Michael. It seems Michael's troubles with Kevin continued even into their adult lives. I decided to attend today to take a break from work and catch up with old friends like Michael. I was trying to avoid Kevin as much as possible, but just as I stepped outside for some air, he approached me. "Look who it is, David. Surprised you're still around. This is a top-notch hotel. Seems a bit too upscale for a high school dropout, doesn't it?" "Thanks for the warm welcome, really." I rolled my eyes in my mind while mouthing a thank you. I graduated from a top university and landed a job at a leading IT company with a bang. That's out of reach for a dropout like you. You must be working at some small business or on a construction site. 10 years can really show the difference, huh? Seriously, no progress in 10 years. I'm the ace at my company now. Michael, who ended up at the same company by chance, is doing okay, but he's no match for me. Is ace another word for joker? Ignoring Kevin seemed to bother him, so he made an outrageous statement. Hey, look at that woman over there. She's quite something. Perfect for a successful guy like me. Let me show you how it's done. Indeed, there was a very attractive woman where Kevin pointed. Ignoring my warning not to do anything stupid, he practically skipped over to her. Feeling annoyed, I watched from a distance. Kevin seemed flustered after talking to the woman and came back looking defeated. She turned out to be a foreigner, speaking German all of a sudden. I'm fluent in German, but her accent was so thick I had to walk away. Fluent but can't understand a bit of accent. I don't think her accent was that bad. Actually, I'm pretty sure she didn't have one. Your turn, David. Go show her what you've got. Your high school level German won't cut it, but it's not like you've got women lining up anyway. Here's your chance. Kevin pushed me towards her, laughing obnoxiously. Annoyed, I brushed off his hand and approached the woman. Leah, what brings you here? There's still time left. David, well, I was free and thought I'd come pick you up. By the way, we're speaking English. We could speak German, but we're in the US, so we stick to English. By the way, is that guy you know, came up and hit on me out of nowhere, so I brushed him off in German. Let's just say he's a troublesome acquaintance. I left Leah and went back to Kevin to say, it seems she had plans, so I couldn't invite her. Did you actually communicate in German? No way. Ignoring Kevin's complaints, I decided to greet my classmates and head home. Of course, I didn't want to keep Leah waiting. Leah and I met in Germany, where we became reliable allies. After graduating middle school, I chose not to pursue high school. It wasn't due to a lack of academic ability or poverty, as Kevin suggested. I wanted to delve deeper into computer studies. With numerous IT certifications available, I became obsessed with acquiring them all. While attending a specialized school, I also took the GED on my father's advice. Juggling both was challenging, but I managed to succeed. Having obtained key IT certifications and conquered the GED, my sights were set on Germany, away from the US. I studied in Germany, eagerly absorbing foreign IT skills and knowledge. Looking back, I'm amazed at what I was able to achieve. I became completely engrossed in my pursuits. I believe that passion led to positive outcomes. In Germany, I met and befriended Leah. Leah is an American German who looks no different from an American but is thoroughly German. Sharing similar goals, Leah and I clicked. After graduating together, when I decided to join a company in the US, Leah also secured a position at the same company and came to America. All right, Leah, things are about to get busy. Looks like the reunion energized you, David. Okay, let's give it our all. And so, we embarked on our next goal. 5 years passed. We're at a party hosted by a certain company. It's a party to announce a new business venture and to introduce newly appointed board members. I'm not fond of such glamorous events, so I found myself idly leaning against a wall with a beer in hand. Why are you even here? Hearing a familiar voice, I turned to see Kevin standing there with a furious expression. Long time no see. Good to see you're doing well. Michael was also there, beside Kevin. Do you even know where you are? This is a party hosted by a leading IT company that's making waves in the industry. Yay, I know. So, why are you here at a major company's party? I was invited here. People like you, from the bottom rings, shouldn't be here. You lower the rank of this place. I'm going to be a big-time CEO with a $100 million investment from this major IT company. Saying that, Kevin tilted the beer glass he was holding over my head, pouring its contents onto me. Naturally, the beer cascaded over my head, dripping from my hair and chin. Despite this, I remained calm. For some reason, I had anticipated Kevin might do something like this. Wiping off the beer with a handkerchief, I said, "Then I guess that investment is cancelled." I smiled at Kevin while holding the handkerchief. "Huh?" Kevin looked puzzled, unsure if he understood what I said. "Anyway, the investment isn't even confirmed yet. It's funny you're acting as if it's already in your pocket. How could a company not invest in someone as talented as me? If you were truly talented, that might be the case. Michael, what do you think?" Well, that is. Michael has done well so far, but unfortunately, it seems the deal wasn't sealed. Maybe it's time to cut your losses." Michael looked troubled, and Kevin's anger didn't subside. As Kevin was about to say more, Leah came over, saying, "David, it's time for the greetings." "Right, sorry, Kevin, Michael, but I have some pressing matters to attend to. I'll be back after taking care of them. In the meantime, could you chat with some of my team?" As I stepped away, 3 men who had been lurking in the shadows approached the 2 individuals. At the event, the host began the narration. "Next, we have a greeting from the newly appointed director, David." I walked up to the stage and stood in front of the microphone. "Thank you for today. My name is David, and I'm honored to be introduced to you. Today, I'm excited to announce a new project that is crucial for our company's future. This project will be led by Mr. Michael Taylor as the chief executive, who is the planner behind it. This is..." While I was giving my speech, I couldn't hear it, but apparently, Kevin was making a scene, shouting, "What's going on? Why him? Why Michael?" After graduating from a university in Germany, I joined a company in the US, which was led by my father as the president and my mother as the vice president. It was a small IT company in the past, but now it has grown into a major player in the industry. My passion for computers was probably fueled by my father's encouragement. It was my father who allowed me to pursue IT instead of going to high school and suggested I take the general equivalency diploma in anticipation of what was to come. And it was he who sent me off to Germany. I always planned to return to the US after graduating and utilize my knowledge and skills in my father's company, but having Leah come back with me was a pleasant surprise. Because Leah is incredibly talented. The rapid growth of our company over the past 5 years is more attributable to Leah's efforts than my own. While I was able to use my technical skills, my father also entrusted me with finance-related tasks for my future learning. To further expand our company last year, we solicited new business plans through a competition open to external proposals. This selected project would receive up to $100 million in funding, with the proposer having the option to become independent or join our company. One of the applicants was Kevin, whose proposal was outstanding, but the supporting data and figures were severely lacking. Just when I thought something was amiss, Michael showed up. Michael was utterly astonished to encounter me, as he had never expected our paths to cross, but he then revealed the truth to me. The plan was originally mine. Kevin stole it from me. Kevin has always seen Michael as his subordinate, even to this day. He believes what belongs to his servant belongs to him. Just like you said before, David, this situation is wrong. I can't stay silent after what's been done to me. Does that mean you've finally come to your senses? I asked, and Michael nodded sadly. To my question, Michael nodded sadly. While I was greeting others, it seems my capable subordinate had a thorough talk with Kevin, and when I returned, Kevin was crouching on the floor, holding his head. What struck me deeply was Michael, standing a bit away, turning his face aside while trying to hold back tears. The issue of Kevin's plagiarism spread quickly within the industry. Kevin, who was fully intent on securing investment to start his own company and become its president, ended up tarnishing the company's reputation and was fired for his atrocious work ethic, as he hadn't been working properly, planning to resign anyway. Already disliked by colleagues for his high pride and obvious self-esteem, Kevin left the company without anyone to see him off. All this happened just half a month ago. Yet, in this half month, the new project has gotten off to a smooth start. This success is due to the efforts of the planner Michael and the support of the excellent Leah. I stretched out greatly on the couch sofa. My head feels a bit foggy, perhaps from journeying through memories, traveling from over 30 years ago to the present. Kevin had a friend like Michael, but he never realized the value of that friendship until it was too late, which led to his downfall. Without making any other friends to open up to and support him, he met a lonely end. I've always tried to cherish my friends. I wonder how much I've been helped by friends. Even when times were tough with IT and GED studies, it was the presence of friends that helped me overcome many challenges. Michael helped me a lot during those times. When I was struggling in unfamiliar Germany, Leah was there to help me. Leah also became a great support when I was working in the US. Cherishing friends is vital in life. A friend with whom you can share your heart and trust is the greatest treasure of all. As I gazed at the mountains outside the window, pondering these thoughts, I heard, "Daddy." My beloved daughter came jumping into my arms. "Hey there, Daddy is tired, so let's give him some time to rest." My wife, our daughter's mother, Leah, picked up our daughter. Ah, yes, Leah, once my friend, has now become someone even more precious.